One question I notice is repeated a lot in the spiritual community is the question of, what do I even do for a new moon or a full moon? Hey there, I'm Howie, and if you're new here, then that makes two of us, because so am I. Welcome to my channel, and in today's video, I'm going to show you what I do for a new moon or full moon in my everyday journal. Let's get started. The core practice here is to do a tarot reading based on whatever lunation is happening in the moment. In this case, I'm setting up a journal spread to track my tarot reading for a new moon. I'm a firm believer in maintaining a journal if you have a tarot practice. It's just a great way to track your questions for specific spreads and do a little pretty memory keeping on the side. Most importantly though, I use these journal spreads to reflect on previous readings. It's the reflection portion of this practice that I find most important because it allows me to sharpen my skills as a tarot reader. I can go back to old writings and check to see how accurate my interpretations were. How did certain combinations of cards play out? How did the deck's personality speak through that reading? How have I changed and evolved as a person since that reading? What lessons have I learned and integrated? I think those last two questions are most integral when it comes to reaching for the tarot cards in the first place. What influences, symbols, or obstacles are forthcoming, and how can I be the best version of myself as I navigate those circumstances? My new moon and full moon spreads, or my lunation spreads, all follow a very similar formula that I've been developing and using over the past year. You can divide these spreads into three different parts. We have the present, which is the reading that I'm doing at the moment. We have a space to set our intentions, and then we have a space to review and reflect 6 months down the line. Now, why would I wait 6 months to do a review? Well, that's because the opposite lunation in the same sign of the zodiac is only going to happen in about 6 months' time. I'm almost done laying down my second line highlights. I just have one more section to go, which is the review section. Before I continue though, I noticed at this point that because I'm at the end of my journal, it's actually getting a little bit difficult to ensure I get a nice even line because the page is not laying flat against my table anymore. So I just grabbed a box I had laying off to the side to prop up that part of my journal. So now I have a nice even page to do my highlights on. This was actually really important for this part of the spread because you'll notice I'm using a different pen than what I was using before. This particular pen has a smaller brush tip than the Tombows I was using earlier in the video. So I have to actually go over each line twice to make sure the highlight actually fills out that 5mm dot grid. In order to get this right, I need to create an environment that has the least amount of resistance as possible, and of course a steady hand. Honestly, I just love adding a second line highlight to a journal spread. It makes the page look so crisp and clean, and I can skim over my writing a lot faster with every second line highlighted. Makes really large blocks of text so much easier to read. Plus, I love being able to integrate more color into a journal spread to match whatever theme I've chosen for the month. In this case, my theme was neon green and black. If you know, you know. The next step is to start adding all of my outlines. I'm using a black micron pen in an 08 size to give a super thick border. It creates a nice crisp look for all of my second line highlights, and the colors really pop with that extra black outline. You'll notice I've added some blank boxes next to the review section. These are going to be for doodling in tarot cards when I do my next lunation reading in 6 months. And again, I won't be able to come back and actually do my review of my new moon reading until we see the full moon in the same sign of the zodiac, which will happen in about 6 months' time. Over here on the left, we're going to do the same thing, add my outline, and I'm going to add 6 boxes for 6 cards that I typically pull for a lunation reading. As previously mentioned, I've left a little space here to add my questions that I ask during this lunation reading, and I've also left a space at the bottom to write the date. I essentially have the memory of an empty fishbowl, so writing down the dates that I do things is really important for my memory keeping process. Now, as for the questions to ask, and what each card is going to essentially answer and represent during your reading, that is entirely up to you. You can actually find a ton of inspiration for new moon and full moon readings on the internet in general. For my practice, I've been using the same set of 6 questions that I originally got from a book called Everyday Tarot by Bridget Esselmont. Esselmont? I am so sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. I personally found Everyday Tarot to be an excellent source of guidance back when I was ready to take my tarot practice more seriously, rather than just a casual, inconsistent hobby. One last detail with this pen before I move on to adding stickers and finalizing this journal spread, I want to add a drop shadow to all of my card icons here. I like adding the drop shadow because it makes the cards pop off the page. They don't really blend in and look as flat when they have a drop shadow. Plus, that additional color just, again, ties that whole theme together. I'm making the personal choice not to add the drop shadow to the card icons over on the review side because I want the focus of this spread to be drawn over to the left-hand page, which is the main purpose of this spread, the New Moon Tarot reading. Next up is my favorite part of designing any spread, and that is the stickers. Now, I don't know about any of you, but if you happen to suffer from sticker anxiety, I highly recommend taking just a few extra minutes to place your stickers before you actually cut them down to size and peel the backing off. Sure, some of these stickers are pretty decent in that you can remove them fairly cleanly if you're careful, but I'd rather not run the risk of ruining my journal pages by making a mistake and having to pull a sticker up. The less mistakes, the better. The less stress, the more joy. So I actually took some time off camera to position these and figure out exactly which stickers I wanted to put where. Once I was relatively satisfied with the end result, it was time to cut them down to size and start placing them permanently. Now you'll notice I haven't cut them down to meet the edge of my journal page. I'm actually going to chop off those excess bits after I'm done laying down all my stickers to finalize the journal spread. For now, they can just hang out and chill. I gotta say, I absolutely adore the way this entire journal spread came together. Those stickers are some of my absolute favorites in my collection at the moment. And my commitment to this specific journal, which is going to close out 2025 for me, it's almost all done, was to only use S-tier supplies. One negative habit that I'm trying to overcome is my habit of acquiring very pretty and very shiny hobby supplies, like a little crow, but then never actually using those supplies. It's like my brain says, it's too pretty, it's too good for you to use, you're gonna mess it up, which completely defeats the purpose of that thing's intention. We are leaving that mindset in the past where it belongs, and we are using the good stuff. Why? Because the good stuff makes the heart and soul happy. And if you're not happy with your journal, then you're probably not going to use it. Before we call it a day, we need to grab a pair of scissors and trim off all of that annoying excess sticker on the edge of the page. Most of the time, these excess pieces are way too small for me to bother using anywhere else, so they typically wind up in the trash. Every now and again though, I'll get a big enough chunk that I can just grab it and place it somewhere else in the spread, or somewhere else in the theme, or I'll even stick it back to the backing and save it for a rainy day. And I almost flipped the page to some very personal journal entries that I had written on the spread prior to this one. We're just gonna skip ahead to the final product and pretend this didn't happen. And she is complete! This is the New Moon journal spread that I filled out not too long ago for the last lunation of 2025, which was the new moon in Sagittarius. I'm actually going to be retiring this journal spread from my everyday carry and moving it over to a dedicated tarot journal in my 2026 lineup, which means I'm going to have a lot more to talk about, a lot more to show off, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video. For now though, happy holidays, take care of yourselves and each other. See ya!